how you can update your own systems. So right now we have a DHIS2 version 41, and that is our latest version. Okay. And all of our kind of release information depends on kind of the version that we're supporting in terms of which versions we subsequently support in terms of the older ones that are out there. We also have a roadmap available, and I'll open that in a second, that goes over the various features that are available in each release. Now, this can be a little challenging to interpret, only because you only see stuff for the latest release. And like I said, sometimes you have momentum building towards a particular feature, and you want to see kind of all the different features and different kind of uses of that that have been built over time. And there might be some need to look at past release notes as well, for example. Okay, so we release a new version of DHIS2 once per year now. Okay, so we've just released version 41, I think in May of this year. Okay, so you'll see version 2 about a year from then. So there is some time now between the upgrades, and this is meant to give you a bit of time to kind of work through the features. And some of you yourself, you may not even be on this version, and that's something we understand, and that's completely okay. Maybe you're on 39 or 38 or, whatever it is that you might be on. We understand that there is some time that it takes in order to implement these upgrades, and we are kind of making sure to support that a bit more. So in addition to the annual releases that are available, we also have what we call patch releases. So the patch releases are meant to address things like maybe bugs or implement maybe small features that are not going to be kind of or required to implement a full version upgrade for, in there. And the patch releases support the current version plus the last 2 versions. So right now we're on version 41. So you'll see patches for version 39 as well as version 40 released in addition to version 41. Okay. So if you're on 38, you won't see any new patches. It doesn't mean it's not a useful version necessarily, but there won't be any security updates or bug fixes applied to that particular version. Okay. So that is the model we currently operate under in terms of our releases. Okay. So I've linked to this roadmap in the presentation so you can kind of get a sense of what the features are, both in the latest releases as well as upcoming releases. So version 41 was released in May, and you'll see kind of all these different features that are available, split by these different kind of products, let's call them. And if I scroll down a bit past this, I'll also see for version 42, which is scheduled a year from now, some of the features that are available there. You can also use this tool called Jira to follow some of this, but it's a little kind of difficult, I think, for the average person to use. So it's a little bit easier when you just see this as a list tabulated on the web page. Okay, so in addition to the annual release cycle and our patch releases, we also have a kind of relatively new concept for DHIS2 at least. Okay, so apologies for that. So a relatively new concept, at least for DHIS2, and what we refer to as a continuous release. Okay, so we know it's quite difficult to upgrade your entire system from one version to the next, right? Let's say you're on version 38 and you want to move to version 40. There's a lot of testing, a lot of time, a lot of effort that is needed to move to that version, right? Could be localization issues, whatever. So under this continuous release model, you're able to update some of the apps that are available. Okay. So under this continuous release model, you're able to update some of the applications inside of DHIS2 without upgrading your whole system. Okay. So for example, let's say a new version of the Maps app is released and you want those new features. You don't necessarily need to upgrade your entire DHIS2 system. So this could, in essence, save you quite a bit of time and gain you access to some of the latest features, but without having to kind of plan around this annual release cycle. So if you are relatively up to date and you're happy with that version, but you just want some of the latest features that are available in some of these applications, then you're able to update those and stick with the version you're on currently. Okay, so this is an example. Sorry, it's pretty small. Okay. This is an example of one of these applications that is available via the continuous release cycle, okay? And this is the Capture app. This is one of the apps that I'm going to demonstrate in a moment, okay? And you can see there's all kinds of various versions that have been released. And there are kind of small fixes, both small and large fixes, I should say, applied within these releases. And, because of this, let's say I'm on version 40, for example, and I don't want to upgrade to 41, but I want to update my Capture app. Okay, then I can do that using this model. Okay, so I'm just able to install the latest version, for example, or upgrade or update whichever version I have currently, and that'll update the version I have in my system with the latest features without having to upgrade the entire DHIS2 software. Okay. Okay, so those are the two kind of release cycles we work under. We have an annual release of our software every year. We also have these patch releases, which are for bug fixing and things like that. And then we also have this continuous release cycle. Apologies. We also have this continuous release cycle that allows us to update the apps within our DHIS2 system. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is get into some of the features that are inside of DHIS2. So one of the updates we have recently is a new login application. You'll see this just in the latest version of DHIS2. So version 41, and there's some custom layouts for the login page that you can kind of provide. It looks a little bit different than before, but maybe more interesting are custom layouts that you can kind of add in to the login screen. So here's some examples that you can create, either using what's built into DHIS2 or through your own customizations. Here's another example. So if you want to switch up kind of what's on your login screen from that regular blue page, there are some features in order to do so. Okay. Okay, so the bulk of what I'm going to talk about with you today is the new Capture app. Okay, so I'm not going to just focus on the new features of the app because maybe some of you haven't seen it before, maybe some of you have. Okay, but I just want to give a bit of an introduction to this application and discuss a little bit in terms of how you might transition to this application if you are using Tracker Capture currently. So there are some caveats to this new app. So as of version 41, this app has now the same features as Tracker Capture, plus many other new features as well. Okay, so basically anything you could do in Tracker Capture, you can also now do in the Capture app. But the interface is quite a bit different, and there are also a number of new features on top of this. So this might make it a little kind of confusing to new users if they're really used to using Tracker Capture in the regular workflow. So we are trying to help with this. Okay. And I'm going to go over the app in a moment, but we will be releasing this in a month or so, maybe when I'm done traveling here, basically. And we're making this kind of toolkit in order to assist you in moving from Tracker Capture over to Capture. And within this toolkit, we're basically listing all the different kind of features, where things were in Tracker Capture and where they are now in the Capture app. So this will hopefully help. We will also have a training package and everything, along with some videos, etc., going through the features. So the whole idea is to kind of help people along in terms of identifying, well, if I did a referral in Tracker Capture, how do I do it now in Capture? When I used to register someone in Capture or in Tracker Capture, how do I do that now in Capture? So all the kind of features that we were kind of familiar with are discussed in this guidance, as well as some additional features that are there now only in Capture, as Capture has some extra features that aren't available in Tracker Capture. Okay. So some of you might be, depending on where you are in your implementation, maybe you've never even seen Tracker Capture, maybe you've only used Capture. That's fine. Maybe you're kind of thinking about how you move forward with this. Okay, so all right, so this is the capture screen. So if you aren't familiar with this app or have never seen it before, this is what it looks like. So it looks a little bit different than Tracker Capture. So there's no more of that org unit hierarchy on the left-hand side. You don't have separate program selectors that are static at the top. Now you have different selectors and a bit of a different interface available. So instead of kind of working through that regular workflow that you had, if you were used to that, now we see that there's a bunch of selectors at the top, and they kind of remain permanently. So I can select my program, my organization units, etc., at the top of the screen, rather than at the left-hand side. Okay, and those remain there regardless of where I am in the Capture application. You'll also see the front page list. It looks a little bit different than it used to before, and there's a number of new features that have been added to this front page list. Also, the buttons for search and creating a new tracked entity are up at the top. You'll also notice that the labels have been changed, or maybe you haven't noticed. But if I'm making a person, then it'll say I'm making a person. If I'm making some type of commodity, it'll say commodity, rather than just saying, create a new TEI or register. Okay, the language has changed a bit depending on the configuration. Okay, so there is a little bit more customization that can occur to make it easier for the user. In addition to what we see on the screen, we also have a lot of features for what we call working lists to alter this front page screen. So I've added a couple here, and I'll discuss those in a moment. But what these working lists allow you to do basically is filter out that front page list and give you quick access to the individuals, let's say, if you're working with people, very quickly. So if I want to just see, in this case, I'm working with this case-based surveillance program. Let's say I just want to filter out all the cases with meningitis. I could do that very quickly rather than having to set something up manually. Okay, so for example here, I have this little widget here, and it's hard to see on the screen, and I'll try to zoom in. Okay, but it says active enrollments with meningitis, and if I just click on that, it'll just update my list. Okay, okay, and now it'll just show me those cases with meningitis really quickly. And I'm able to quickly save these views, create them on my own. If I clear this, for example. So I could say active, and I could say here, meningitis. Okay. And I'm able to then save these views for myself and share them with others as well. Okay, so before in the past, if I wanted to modify this working list, it was a little challenging, but now I'm able to create these filters for the front page list very quickly and save them for my own needs and purposes. As part of the Capture app as well, here, I'll just get in, before I get into that, I'll just cover a bit more on the interface. Okay, so if I just open up a case, you'll see a new kind of dashboard layout as well. Okay, so if you were used to the old dashboard, there are a lot of familiar items. They're just maybe in a different place than you're used to. Okay, so you'll see, for example, that the data entry portion of the application is separated or segmented a little bit differently than it used to be, right? Before we had a couple different options. We had this tabular option and we had this timeline option, which was just linear kind of boxes of all your various events in your program. Okay, now what we have are the stages. So we have what we call a widget here, and it's the stages and events widget that houses all the different data entry for your program. So we have the different program stages, and they group all your events together. And if I scroll down here, this is a surveillance program with a couple different stages, and I'll see within those stages all the different events that have been entered. Okay, so if I have some stages, let's say with repeated events, I'll see those repeated events grouped together underneath that particular stage. Okay, so the nice thing about this, of course, So you can also just really quickly get an overview of what's in your program as well. Oh, I've closed the whole thing. Okay, so this is just a list of all my program stages. It tells me how many events I have. It tells me when they were updated, etc. Okay. Now on the right-hand side of the screen, this is where all kind of the different pieces of information you could have in the Tracker Capture app are now placed. So for example, you have the person profile as a kind of widget or box on that right-hand side of the screen. You know, it used to be up here and here, right? You had the enrollment organization unit and some other information, okay? But you'll see here that this bar persists at the top. So we do see, for example, which organization unit they're registered in, the name of the person, their enrollment date, etc. And you can add more parameters actually at this for this top bar as well. Okay. But then some of the other items have been moved around, like the profile. It's here, and you can alter this layout. It's in a different place now, however. Okay. So you do this through something we call the data store. I'm not going to talk about that too much right now, but just know that you can alter the layout of this tracked entity dashboard if you would like to see things in a different spot or in a different place and share that with other users. There is some more information here. For example, I'll just get out of this person. Okay. So we have some other additional enhancements. Okay, there's a kind of enhanced change log, we call it now, instead. So this is the previous audit log. So if you want to see what's been changed or updated within a particular event and keep track of all that information, you are able to do so. And this is a bit improved from how it was placed previously with all the various updates that a user has made to a particular event within a program stage. And then some of the features that you would have been used to, like creating relationships, making transfers or referrals, those are also available within the new Capture app. So for example, if I wanted to make a relationship, I can do that from the relationship sidebar. You'll see, however, the interfaces are a little bit different, right? So if you're not completely familiar with how this looks right now, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Like I said, we do have a nice piece of documentation coming out very soon that explains all of these differences in quite a bit of detail. Okay, but same thing as before. When I create my relationships, I can add a new person and create that relationship, or search for an existing person and use them to create my relationship. Okay. I'm also able to make referrals and transfers just like before. So if you were using, I think in version 40, I don't believe you were able to do this in the Capture app, but as of version 41, you are able to do so. So for example, if I wanted to make a new event and have a one-time referral, let's call it, okay, in a different place. Okay, I can do that. You'll see it's registering this event in this organization unit one time. Okay. The other thing I can do, I can also assign events to users. This is something you could do in Tracker Capture as well, but was a bit underutilized. So I'm just going to kind of explain what this does. Okay, and I'll go ahead and schedule this in this org unit. Okay, and we'll see here that this person, they're registered in one organization unit up at the top. Oh, it's not showing my cursor anymore. Is it not doing that? Okay, so this person was registered in one organization unit, Fang Sali, but they have an event here scheduled in this other organization unit here. And this is just a one-time referral for that particular event. It's not transferring the whole tracked entity. Okay. We can also transfer the whole tracked entity if we want to. That's done through a different location. Now we have this enrollment actions button. It's a bit hard to see on the screen. Hopefully it's better on your computer if you're looking there. Okay. And that's in this enrollment widget. There's a number of actions that we can do. We can complete the event, mark for follow-up, transfer. We can also delete the event. I think one thing that's important to note, that's really important probably for a lot of you, in the Capture app, you can now decide who deletes events or tracked entities, okay? Before, in the Tracker Capture app, it was either all or none. If they had access to the record, they could modify that record, and they could delete that record. Okay, but now you are able to provide specific user permissions that allow you to control whether or not they delete this record. Okay, so for example, if someone doesn't have the authority to delete, then they won't even see that delete option there any longer. Okay, so hopefully that'll help some of you out who've been requesting this feature. Okay, so if I want to perform a permanent transfer, I can also do this by clicking on the transfer button. Okay, so for example, let's see, keep it within the same district. Okay, so I could transfer this, and it's going to take that entire kind of record and then transfer it over to this new location. So I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, and we can see it gets updated. So this is where I started. Okay, so this is where it was registered initially, but now the entire record has been transferred to a new organization unit. Okay, so we'll keep track of that history as well within that record. So if you are doing some type of transfer for any reasoning, it will keep a record of where those people are coming from. Okay, so real quickly, just to also just expand on when I assigned a event to my user, what you can do with that. So I've created another filter here, active enrollments assigned to me. Okay, and what this does, it just filters from the list any kind of event that's outstanding that has been assigned to my user. So for example, if I just want someone to see a quick working list of the individuals they need to follow up on quickly, I can do that if I've used this assigned functionality. Okay, and this is an event that's maybe assigned in the future at some point in time, but the person can just log in and see, okay, today, which events or which people should I be dealing with, and work through that list one by one until they've completed all the records they're supposed to be handling, as an example. Okay, so there are a number of new features in this application, and of course, the old features that we had from Tracker Capture are here as well. Like I said, we'll be coming out with quite a bit of detailed guidance on this, walking through the features, showing where everything is, explaining the differences between the two applications, as well as all the different upgrades and updates that are there for the new application. Okay, one other thing that's been added that I didn't get a chance to show is the ability to select multiple options within one option set. Okay, so some of you that might be quite useful as well in order to do this. This is supported on both the data entry side as well as the analytics side to some extent, though more features are coming to support this in analysis as well. Okay, so that was a quick overview of the tracker, of the Capture application. Like I said, there's a lot more information coming out on that application to support you in moving to that new application. If you do have any questions about this, please do let me know. I think one thing what might be important to note for many of you is that the previous kind of the API for that old Tracker Capture app, it's not really being actively supported. And any updates to Tracker Capture have also been halted. So if you are kind of heavily invested in that application right now, it might make sense to think about transitioning to this in some time. It's not something immediate, and we understand that it can take a little bit of time to do so. But you have some years even to plan for this. But it's a good thing to think about if you are using that Tracker Capture app right now, only because it's not really supported that well. And if you run into major problems within your implementations, chances are there's not going to be a lot of support to update that application. Okay? So I'm going to hand it over to the analytics team, over to Pamod and Saurabh, and they'll continue with the presentation.
Right. So we have many data capture systems in all the countries that we work, right? So there are like custom-made data capture systems. But one feature in DHIS2 that really stands out and which many other systems that you have in your country do not support is this analytics, right? We have many countries where they prefer to use DHIS2 mainly because of this, because we have some rich analytics which are supported out of the box. So in this presentation, we are just going through some of these areas. So under analytics, we will talk briefly about what are the different features we have in DHIS2 in the dashboards, and what new features we have over the last few releases, which support nice visualizations and charts. And we will also see like how pivot tables have been upgraded, the look and feel in the last few releases, as well as maps. Okay, so if you talk about dashboards, we know DHIS to have flexible, customizable dashboards, right? That means you don't need a developer every time when you want to change something in the dashboards. So in DHIS2, it allows custom sizing and location of different dashboard items. So for example, if I want this map to put it on full screen, that is supported. And when we are configuring, we can configure very easily in which part of the screen each of these visualizations appear. So that way, it's very customizable. And in addition, it also supports rich text. So what we mean by rich text, we can make the text bold, italic. So likewise, we can change the descriptions that appear alongside these visualizations in the dashboards. And as I mentioned before, we can change the sizes and the location where it is appearing in the dashboards. And as you can see here, this is where we kind of have, unfortunately, you can't see the text, but what I wanted to highlight is like in the dashboard itself, we can visualize the descriptions. Because when we are conducting data review meetings, we really need to see not just the visualization, some description about what dashboard item we are looking at, and that is supported. You can see the interpretations, and we can also see the comments in the dashboard itself. And another thing, if you can remember, and if you have used DHIS2 a couple of years back, we just had a static visualization of a particular analysis, meaning like if we have configured the dashboard to show just a map or a chart, that was all that was possible. And we had to go back to the maps application, or maybe like we need to go to the data visualizer to change it. But now we can quickly flip between like a map or a table or a chart, so that the navigation and visualization, the richness of the visualizations that appear in the DHIS2 dashboards have really increased. Another thing that I wanted to highlight is we all do data review meetings. So good old days, when we wanted to conduct data review meetings, that means the national team has to physically go from district to district, go to the health centers, look at their data. But now this has been made so much easier by using DHIS2 dashboards. So whenever we want to do desk reviews, we can easily use DHIS2 dashboards because it supports different filtering options. So what it means is that, as you can see here, so when we log in to the system as a national level user, what the data and that you see in the dashboards are at national level, right? So if you want to drill down, right? So we start with national level and we locate some issue in a particular province, and we want to see like where exactly or which health facility or which district is having this issue. So whenever we want to do that, we can use this filtering. So meaning we can drill down to different levels in our organization unit hierarchy. And also, if we want to kind of focus the visualizations in the dashboard for a particular period, that is also supported. So this is what we mean by adding filters into the existing dashboards. And also, in most of our DHIS2 instances, we just don't have one dashboard. We have many dashboards, right? So when we have so many dashboards, if we are only focusing on mostly on one or two dashboards, which are our favorites, we can make them favorites by clicking on this star icon that you have so that they appear right at the top. So it's very easy to position those few dashboards if we have a list of like, say, for example, 10 or 15 dashboard items. And also, we have some improved navigation menu for managing the dashboard items as well. Another feature which has been highly requested is the ability for printing the dashboards, because still in most of the countries that we operate, we have a practice of sharing the data or rather information in printed format. So DHIS2 dashboards support printing of dashboard items. We can configure like which way we want it. Is it like each dashboard item per page, or or as how it appears in the screen itself, like this. Okay. Another request that we usually get from program managers mostly or administrators is that they want to see and visualize data on the move, right? So when you are not at office and you don't have time to sit in front of a laptop or a computer to see the dashboards, is DHIS2 supporting visualizations on mobile? So even though we still don't have a native app for visualizations, we really support the look and feel of the dashboards when we log in using a mobile device. So if you can use our web browser in the mobile device, you can see like when you like, because we have different screen sizes, so the dashboards are now adaptable to the different screen sizes, both in portrait and landscape orientations. Another challenge that we have in, especially in the rural areas or health facilities, is sometimes when you have these highly rich as in like very many visualizations, some advanced analytics and all, it takes a lot of time for the data to load. So the visualizations keep on loading. So one feature that we have now is the DHIS2 support for offline saving of the dashboard items. So as you can see here, when it is saved, you can easily visualize it. And especially when you are doing presentations in, say, districts or health facilities, it's a really useful feature. So when you are configuring the DHIS2 dashboards, as some of you are, another challenge that we have is that how are we going to configure the dashboard items in a way where only the appropriate or the users who have the permissions are seeing these dashboard items? So a particular feature that we have in DHIS2 to restrict who sees what is the sharing settings. So from a configuration perspective, it has been a real challenge for us to configure the sharing settings for each and every visualization item that you have on DHIS2 dashboards. So now we have this feature where cascading, meaning like we can, as a bulk operation, configure who's having access to all the different visualizations in one dashboard that you see. So that's been made very easy. So something for most of the people who are configuring and implementers to feel happy about. And also, when we are configuring DHIS2 dashboards, we have different ways of configuring the layout, as you can see here, whether it is going to be free flow or fixed columns. We can configure it in such a way so that when you drop an item onto the DHIS2 dashboard, it gets automatically arranged. Right. So let's also focus on some of the features that we have incorporated in last few releases in Data Visualizer. So this new look and feel of this Visualizer app has been there for several versions. So it was introduced into 2.31. And we have a new user interface for selecting different chart types, as you can see right at the top. And then we have the different dimensions, right, which are appearing on the left side and at the top. So this has been the standard layout of the Visualizer app over last 10 releases. And this has been persisting. So, okay. And around the COVID pandemic, we had some new chart requests coming over and over again. So one was, of course, like what you can see here, these gauge charts, as well as this single value chart. So in initial versions, when we introduced this feature, they were static values, meaning like you had the value and there were no colors and all. So but the support that we have right now for the gauge charts, we have ability to include legends as well as target lines, as you can see here. And also for the single value charts, it supports applying different colors or legends, which has been a requested feature. And also for the bar and column charts, it now supports the application of legends so that you can have a better visualization. So just by looking at it, we will get an idea whether the values are in a kind of, at which scale in a data range. Again, even though we still don't have the specific feature that you are requesting to select individual colors for different lines and all, we support application of color sets into charts. as well as styling. Styling means like when you have labels in the charts, uh, they can appear in different colors, or we can make it bold, italic, likewise. Okay. Right. Especially when you are HMIS officer, or someone who has lot access to a lot of different programs in DHIS2, it may be a bit confusing because because we have access to so many different programs in a DHIS2 instance, and each of these programs will have different disaggregations. For example, because we are using different dimensions. So these dimensions can be something like, it could be group, like maybe the ownership or the gender, likewise. So one challenge we had a couple of versions back is we are not really sure which dimension is going to be appropriate for a particular visualization. Now we have this feature which was introduced few versions back, where it highlights what are the applicable dimensions that we can use use with this particular visualization. So that has been a really nice feature. So for some people who have access to a lot of different programs and not really sure which dimension we have been using for different programs. And also, something cool we introduced a couple of versions back. I know, like, how many of you are using social media? It could be Facebook or Instagram or even YouTube. The thing is, like, how people keep interacting with these platforms is like you always get alerts and notifications when someone interacted with something that we like. It is like, for example, in Facebook, it could be a photo that I posted, and I want to see like how many have interacted, commented, liked. So we also have something similar in DHIS2 to promote the data use, right? So the challenge that we have in DHIS2, even though we create this vivid, really nice dashboards, it just becomes a landing page for most people because, by default, when people are using DHIS2 for years, it's just a landing page, just like the login page. People just go there and then move to something else, maybe data entry. But now we have these features where, for example, you can see the bell icon here, right? This, like the subscribe, uh, where like when someone subscribe to that particular visualization, you always get alerts when you log into the DHIS2 instance if something a new interaction has happened. So it could be a comment or something like that. And even when it comes to these interpretations or the descriptions, people can tag other people. So for example, if I'm the HMIS officer and I want to know, and I notice some issue with a particular visualization, and I want to get a comment from the health facility staff, I can always put a at mark at and then the user, so that user will get an alert that somebody has, somebody is wanting some kind of update from me regarding a particular visualization. So these kind of new features really promote the data use and the engagement, and to kind of promote data for action. So these features have been incorporated in last few releases. Um, Another different chart type that we have introduced to support, for example, use cases related to surveillance and things like that, where we wanted to compare data over a couple of years, like what happened at same period, or maybe like what happened in months of April and May over last 3-4 years. To have that kind of visualization, we have this. We introduced this new chart type called year over year, both bar and line charts, as well as that has been there. And also together to support the same kind of visualizations, we now have the single value charts. So we can have year over year charts as well as single value charts, so that certain things can be highlighted in a very precise manner. And DHIS2 now supports multiple axes. So as you can see here, it's not our simple X and Y, one single X axis and one single Y axis, but here we have more than one Y axis. So for example, here we have one axis, right? The range is different to what we have on this side. So meaning when we want to visualize something very complex, we can use these advanced features where we can actually create it's very descriptive. But the caveat is that when you are having these kind of dashboard items in your dashboards, just be mindful of who's actually seeing this data. Because if it is for a very simple health facility staff, if they don't have proper training, these kind of charts may not be so meaningful. But for many people and statisticians, this will give a really good idea about different ways of comparing data with different data ranges. And in addition, you can see here, we have two categories. So the x-axis here are the months, and then here we at the top we have separate categories for urban and rural. I'm sorry for the not so nice visibility for the people at the back, but what I wanted to highlight is these two categories, what you have at the bottom and what you have at the top are different. And another feature which is really new is this scatter plot. So some of you may have used the WHO DQ app. So one reason why we wanted to use most like WHO DQ app, data quality app, is the support that it has to identify outliers. Because these scatter plots are a nice visualization where we kind of look at it, and at a glance, we'll be able to see the outliers. So again, like I don't want to go into details about like what scatter plots are, but in very simple terms, what you can see here are two related data elements or indicators, right? So when you have two related data items and we want to see, for example, like we want to, each of these dots could be different organization units. So if you want to see like what are the organization units which are having outliers, right? It could be plus or minus two standard deviations. We can nicely visualize it in this kind of scatter plots. So this is a really new feature, and I encourage you all to try them out. Right, so now that we are done with the data visualizer, let's look at like what are the different enhancements we have related to the tables. So over to you, Saurabh.
Right, thanks, Pramod. So for the next set of slides, I'll review the new features and the enhancements done in the pivot tables, as well as the maps application. So pivot tables, as we understand, has been added as a additional visualization in the data visualizer app from version 2.34 onwards, and the previous pivot table app is no longer available from version 2.37 onwards, and all the functionalities and features of the pivot tables app have been migrated to the data visualizer app, which becomes your one single app for both charting as well as tabular needs. So in the DHIS2 instances, all the previous favorites, which were made using the old pivot tables app, they're available in the data visualizer app now. So you can open existing pivot tables in data visualizer app also, and they will perform seamlessly. Similar to the data visualizer, the improvements have been carried forward to the pivot tables chart type as well. So you could see the persistent layout of the items quickly here on the top. So you can switch between these items, between the data period and the additional dimensions that you've added. And in addition, you'll see these green dots next to your dimensions. So the system tries to give you some clues in which what additional dimensions can be used based on the data models in which the data is getting collected. So for example, if I'm looking at the rotavirus 2 doses given for the facility, then I can see some green dots against the age, the type, and the urban-rural dimensions, which could be further added, and the data can be disaggregated by those data dimensions as well. In addition, there have been new improvements which have been introduced where you can freeze the column and row headers so that you can visualize and navigate the tables easily, especially when you have large amounts of data in the tables. So you can freeze the rows and columns similar to what you can do in Excel files, and then you can visualize the data and navigate it a bit comfortably. For the Maps application, there was new Maps app introduced in version 2.29, which has a completely new interface for adding new map layers. And moving forward, there were new map layers were also introduced, which I'll cover in my next set of slides. So uh, from version 2.41 onwards, you have a new setup for downloading the maps as images, where you can choose different options which you want to show on the map download, the image download, such as you can show the description, you can show the map name, you can see the overview map and the north arrow, and then you can choose which side you want the legends to be shown on the image. So on the right-hand side, you'll see the map name, the description if you want to show that, and the legends. And this similar image will get downloaded, which will have much more information as compared to the previous versions. In addition, now you can also download the layer data for the maps that you're trying to create. And that layer data could be then imported into external GIS applications such as ArcGIS, QGIS, and other softwares, which can do much more deeper fine-grained analysis than what is currently supported in the Maps app. So you can export this data and import into external applications and use that for your mapping needs. In addition, you can see the data that you've plotted on the map as a data table. The data table has the data arranged by the levels at which the data has been plotted and the values. And each of these dimensions can be filtered by putting ranges. Or if you're looking for a specific district, then you can put the name here and it will filter out the table, as well as the map will also get filtered out and will only focus on the filters that you have added here in the data table. So this is dynamic and can help you to filter data and view it more granularly. In addition, you can now add data dimensions to filter your maps. So for example, if I'm looking at the HIV tests performed and I'm collecting this data by the gender, then you can put the filter dimensions in the maps as well. So your maps will then only show the data for the dimensions or the filters that you've added here. And thereby you can do a separate visualization for say male and female people tested for HIV. So you can add more dimensions and you can use dimensions as filters in the Maps application. In the latest releases, you have the options to create both the choropleth, the heat maps, or the bubble maps. So both the options are available now. So the general recommendation is to use the choropleth maps or heat maps for generating or indicator coverages. While if you're looking at raw data or in terms of volumes and numbers, it is recommended to use the bubble maps so that the differentiation could be seen very clearly in terms of the raw data which is available. In terms of the views which are supported within the Maps app and also on the dashboard, you can see the maps as a split view or a timeline-based visualization. In split view, you will see that the same map will show for all the years that you've selected. So if you want to see the changes in the last 5 years for the same indicator, then you can use a split view, which will split the same map into n number of periods that you've selected for analysis. Or you could also do a timeline view where it will run as a dynamic visualization, which will keep running and switching to each year. And you can visualize the change from one year to another or the periods that you've chosen for analysis. So both these views can be done within the Maps app, and they're also supported on the dashboard as well. So some new enhancements have been made to introduce organization unit profiles as part of the Maps application, where you can report data against the attributes of the health facility, including the images, and then those profiles can be seen within the Maps app. So it is necessary to have the facility coordinates along with the attribute data for creating an organization unit profile. So this is now available from version 40 onwards, and then that could be visualized in the Maps app along with the images and the attributes of that specific health facility. In addition, there have been ongoing integrations with partners such as WorldPop, who have provided their APIs for integrating the population estimates directly into the DHIS2 Maps app. So we have these new layers which have been added, the population and the population age group, which allow you to import data from the World Pop servers and plot the estimated population data on the maps. So this could be then overlaid with your indicator coverages, etc. So if you don't have accurate denominators for your population, you could use this as a substitute source for getting population data. So you have disaggregations by gender, by age group, which are available and which could be sourced from the World Pop servers and then can be used on the Maps application. Next, we'll see some of the new features which have been introduced for visualizing the tracker data. So there's a new line listing app which has been introduced, which currently gives you the features for creating your line list reports across enrollments and for repeatable events as well. So this is similar to the user interface which you see for the data visualizer app and allows you to do complete tracked entity analytics. It is compatible from version 2.38 onwards, and this is part of the continuous release process where updates to this app are released more frequently, and then the users can upgrade these applications from the app management in their DHIS2 instances. Using the line listing and the event reports app, which is still supported, you can create aggregated summaries for your tracker data, and you can also create detailed line list reports for your tracker or event programs. For the standard data collection for your option sets or your drop-down menus, using the event visualizer app, you can easily summarize that data and create charts and tables out of it. And all these features which you see for aggregating the tracker data, they will eventually get released as part of the new line listing app. So that will support both line listing as well as aggregate tracker analytics. In terms of creating the indicators, we all understand we can create the indicators using both tracker and aggregate data. So I can create indicators which are using my data sources from my population data set, for example, and then I can use my tracker program or event program as an aggregation for the numerator. So we can see certain examples, for example, the live births which are coming from the community, that is coming through the tracker data, and the BCG doses given is coming through the aggregates, and then you can calculate these coverages by putting these variables into the numerator and denominator. So you can combine multiple sources of data coming from your patient-based or event-based data collection and using denominators from your aggregate data collection. In addition, in the event report application, you can apply different disaggregations for your raw data. So you can use your data dimensions in which you're collecting the patient data, such as the gender, the age groups, and other properties that you're collecting for that specific person or the event, and then you can quickly aggregate them using the event reports application. So the aggregation features which are available as part of the event reports application, they'll soon be transferred to the line listing app as well. So then it will become the standard reporting tool for your tracker aggregation. Then in the line listing application, you can review the tracker data across multiple program stages. So if I'm trying to create a line list where I want to see the initial TB test result, and then I want to see the treatment given and the outcome of the treatment for each patient, then I can create a consolidated line list where I can collect data from 3 different program stages, which were part of my initial TB diagnosis, the TB treatment initiation, and the TB treatment outcome. So you can create consolidated line list by picking data from multiple program stages or multiple events, and then you can visualize them in the line listing application. There are many programs which require longitudinal tracking of cases such as HIV. So you can look at the repeatable program stages data updated together for all the respective cases, and you can see all the visits when they made and what were the data collected in each of the visits. So this is also available to review the repeated stage data altogether in the line listing application. The support for maps also extends to tracker data, where you can review the data which is collected in the tracker programs, either through program indicators or indicators, but you can also use the location of the patient and create these clusters of cases. And the locations could be captured in multiple ways. You could have the location of the health facility where the services are being provided, and you can also collect the person's household information or household coordinates to see the clusters and the spread of, say, a particular disease in a respective community or a catchment area. So you can do analysis by both the facilities, the facility level coordinates, as well as the coordinates of the patient's household address. So for continuing the presentation and covering the extensibility part, I'll request John to take over.
Hello? Can you hear me all? With the mic and without the mic, even in the back? It's like we saw like what are all the different features are there inside DHIS2 itself, right? The data entry, the tracker capture, the capture app, and then the data visualizer and all things. So now I just want to focus on what DHIS2 also allow, like both for the programmers and for other things to be developed together. Yeah, how we can try to use DHIS2 or how we can try to extend DHIS2. And followed by me, we have Dung. We will actually show a few of the extensibility, what he has been used to develop it so it can be used in different places, like in Laos and in other countries. Okay, so DHIS2, like it's a platform, right? So like so we know like DHIS2 can be used for mobile and can be used online and all the things, but also it can be extended because of how DHIS2 has been designed or designed and built into it. So we have a very big, or in the core, we have a RESTful API and the extension which can be used to either integrate the data between other systems and also try to build an app and which can be installed inside DHIS2. So the end user don't have to feel that, okay, this is a different system, I don't want to use. One of the biggest problem what we face when we try to implement any software is we want the end user to feel, oh, this is one system. It's not 2 or 3 different systems. So then like we want to just say, okay, but I want my screen to be look exactly like this. And sometimes DHIS to offer as much as possible the flexibility to change, but sometimes you need a different kind of layout by itself so that like you can meet the end user need or like to have additional dashboards and all kind of things. So what DHIS2 team have developed is to allow all the developers who knows basic JavaScript and all kind of things to build their own custom app and install into their DHIS2 itself. So when we do an upgrade, like Jan was saying in the morning that like DHIS2 in Vietnam was hacked. It was not hacked. They actually forked it to make the death accident case. So what they did was they could not meet the user need. So they changed it inside DHIS2. And then we DHIS2 keep on updating, like as Nick presented, every year we release new DHIS2 version. So they could not upgrade the DHIS2 version at all. Because like then they have to again like refork it and all kind of things. To solve that problem, what people decided was, okay, let's just give the developers a way so that like they can build the app and install into DHIS2. So when a version is changed from let's say 38 to 39 to 40 or 41, so the app will still be useful. So this is the one of the way how we are trying to extend DHIS2. So now Nick also presented about continuous release, like for example, app like data visualizer, dashboards, and map. So whenever there is a new update and all things, like you can actually install it or update it in your test instance first, check it, everything is working fine, and then you can also do it in the production one without actually reinstalling the DHIS2. So DHIS2 is a big software, but you can just like update one part of it. So similar way, this is possible by using the extension one of apps or plugins. So there are a couple of, based on same technologies and the use cases, people have developed multiple apps. The newest one is on the climate app, because we've been working very closely with many of the different climate meteorological department, try to get the the Google data or like ERA5 data into DHIS2 itself. Before, like we also like many of the people used app, right? Like which Saurabh had presented in the dashboard in the app. So where you can also integrate with the Google Earth Engine, where you can get all the raster images for your temperature and for your elevation and everything, daylight saving. Similarly, like now in the climate app, you can also get the prediction of what's happening in the next like 7 days or 14 days for your climate, for your precipitation, and also you can get the data what it was in 1960 and what is there right now. So this is an app which is built on the same extendability way, which you can try to download in your DHIS2. And climate app uses, I guess, 240 or 239, I'm not quite sure, 240, I guess. And anyway, there is a presentation about the climate app tomorrow. You can go through on this one more things. This is just an example of how the DHIS2 extensibility can be happen. And this app was developed by Oslo, but you can try to use the DHIS2 app hub for downloading all this app into your local DHIS2 instance. So your local DHIS2 instance, if it's 40, you can try to do all these things. There are also many other apps which you can try to use that one up. You also have an app on education, logistic, and I'll come back to the growth to health chart a bit later on. But all these things, the features is you don't have to make changes inside DHIS2 or know about the data model or the touch the database. So you can use the API so that like you can build your own app and install it in your own DHIS2 itself. Okay, so this was the 39 onwards. So this was the climate app, which we were just like trying to tell about, which you can try to do. And this one, it is not linked to your local weather station, but also from the global one, from the ERA5. Then you can try to actually just see all different kind of things. So where you can just see the weather, the climate, and also the change in the temperature from how it was 10 years back and how it is now, whether it is hot or cold, like things, like it can actually give you all this data. And all this data is not stored in DHIS2. Don't worry about that one. Because most of the time when we just say, oh, all this data is stored, no, this data is directly coming from the cloud, just for your visualization only. The other app, what we tried to develop was on the cause of death app, which I guess like today in the afternoon, in the one of the parallel session, we are going to demo about cause of death app using ICD-11. So from within the DHIS2, it's an app where you can try to install it. And then you can connect directly to the ICD-11 coding tool so that you can get all the ICD-11 part, plus also underlining cause of death using DHIS. So long time back, what happens, the ICD coders used to write all the things and then click on underlining cause of death. But like now, using the DHIS tool, it is done automatically. So this presentation of things, we have it today, so we can also work on it, how it works. More on the hands-on, this particular part. Okay, the next one is also similar with this is not talking about MCCOD, but more about inpatient discharge summary. Bangladesh, we are starting based on the Bangladesh requirement. We've been trying to build this app, and also recently it's been used in Laos to try to make IPD discharge summary to be used similar way, so that people can try to install it in your own DHIS2 to focusing on to meet some of the challenges. The how things happened was like we work with different people to try to get more requirement, and we try to build a generic app or in-country app which can be used for our own needs, either by the region or by the country. Okay. This is like app is just like one is a whole app what we try to build again. Then like we also been working very closely with Oslo developer that like they wanted, oh, I have this app, but I want to make a small changes, or I want to include one kind of plugin in the, like say, track capture app. So that's also the something which Oslo developer, the tracker team have been working very hard to try to make sure this plugin can be embedded inside DHIS2 app itself. Like for example, like in the data visualizer, you want to have a different chart type or any kind of things, or in tracker capture app, you want to have patient photograph or biometrics, or in this case, it's a dashboard growth to health chart. So this is the growth to health chart, which can be included in your capture app. So that like when you have the height and weight, you can get the growth to health chart automatically in the patient dashboard itself. So when the data, when the health worker is using this app, you can try to see the growth to health chart, not only in using the laptop, but also in Android DHIS2 app. This has been embedded in growth health chart. So this is just a few of the example how you can try to use the DHIS extendability by creating your own app, so that like we are not we are actually not reinventing the wheel, but sharing the data sharing the apps to other people to try to use, and also we can try to use it within the DHIS2 itself. So now what I'll try to do is to ask, sorry. Okay. So I will ask Dung to come around here. So he will give a bit of background about iCapture. This is different. We have Capture app, we have Track Capture. Now it's called iCapture, which has been used in one of the places. He will give you a bit of background why we are trying to use. Yep.
Hello.
Ah.
Hello. Hello. Okay. I hope everyone hear me well. So a bit of introduction about me. My name is Dũng. I'm the technical lead of HISP Vietnam. So and today I'm the first person who using this one. So I'm testing this one. And I will also introduce about iCapture. That's example on how we can use the custom app to be used in DHIS2. Okay, so about iCapture is as Surajit mentioned before, we have the new capture app in DHIS2. That will be the combination of the event program and the tracker program. So, and that will be good if we want some program up and running, easy to use for the people. And when you want some more extension for the capture app, that's when an iCapture will be in action. Okay, so iCapture is an app developed by HISP Vietnam, and it's the combination of the data entry, event capture, and tracker capture. So as we all know, in the title, we have multiple apps to do the data collection. So the first one is data entry. That's we use to enter data for the data sets. And before that, we have the event capture. What do we use to enter data for the event program? And then we have the tracker capture to enter data for the tracker program. But we already have the new capture app. We combine the event capture and the tracker capture. So, but iCapture, that's a combination of everything. So why would we use the iCapture? So there will be no more confusion for the user. Which data collection app they need to use, because we, in our experience, for the user, they are very confused about that. For example, if they want to enter some aggregate data where which module, which app they use, that can be either data entry or event capture. That's make a lot of confusion for the user. For when we use the iCapture, people can use only one app to do all the data collections. Okay, and for the iCapture, it support more customized form. So we have more extensions. It can do more, a lot than the default capture app. And then this that's also support the backend service. So what is this one? For example, like we want some when we do the communicable disease program. So whenever one cases of severe, let's say severe dengue cases happen in the country. So in iCapture, we can do like we will send the notification to the people using the email or via messaging app to notify about the case. So that's one of the example. And it has the better UI and UX. It's more clear, and it's also support the localization, fully support localization. Yep. So that's the very quick introduction about iCapture. Now I will do the very interactive demo on for all. Everyone can use how it works on the DHIS2. Okay, so on my screen now, I have opened the iCapture on one of our development instance. As you can see here on my right-hand side, there's the icon of iCapture. Okay, so I already opened the iCapture. On the top, you can see that this is the selection that we can select the program or the data sets. In here, for the first one, we have the group, that program. So this is the event program. And then the next one, you can see the second group is data sets. So from here, we can select the data set we want to enter the data for. And on the last one is the tracker programs. So you can see the list of all the tracker programs here. So in this selection, we have data sets, we have event programs, and we have tracker programs, right? So I will try to enter very quickly enter data for one event program called IPD event. Sorry, one information. This is our development instance of Lao HMS that we are using in Lao. So select the IPD event. This is the event program, and I will select the unit. So all of the units listed here will be filtered based on the assign of unit of that program. So it's like when you select that program, this unit list will be show only the unit that assigned to that program. Okay, I will quickly select one hospital, and you will see the list of the events. So I will try to register a new case. So this is the event page I put. And you, as you can see here within iCapture, we can do that the longitude and the latitude, the coordinates of the event will be automatically put. So and down, just very quick. Okay, and down here you can see the current address. What is this? So this one we will select the village that the person come from. So first we select the province, and then we have the province, district, and village. When we select the province, the district will be filtered based on the province that's selected. This is the list of the district that inside the province, and then we select the village. And when we select the village, that our iCapture will automatically put the coordinate of that village to that person. Yes, and then we save the record. Okay, so that's what we have for the event program. And then next I will try to one option set. So I've scrolled down a bit, and I will try the OPD version 2. This is the data set. So we will try to enter some aggregate data. So, and then I select the hospital and then the period. Let's say January 2024, and you will see the form. So we can enter some data here. And when you double click on one field, you will see the data element history. We have comment, we have min max, and we also have the audit trail. So currently no audit trail yet. So that's how the data set works on iCapture. Okay, now then this is the best part, the tracker program. So in iCapture, we support very highly customized tracker form. I will make one example from Lao that will be available soon. So in Lao, we have the new set of MCX tracker programs, including delivery registry, including ANC and PNC, including the immunization. Okay, and all of these programs will be linked together. Like when we register a new person in the delivery registry, let's say a model, and then we can also enroll the same model to the ANC and PNC program. And when the mother she give the birth with the list of the children, right? And that children will be automatically created and enrolled to the immunization program. So I will do it now. Okay, let's say first I will select I will scroll down a bit. You have the list of the tracker programs. I will select the delivery registry. That is, and then I will select the facility which the woman will give the birth. And in here, on the top, we have the search button. It say the search from client registry. So in Lao, for all the tracker programs, in the future, we will have something called client registry. So what is client registry? This is the list of all the, how can I say? All of the clients available in Lao. So first, when you want to enroll anyone to any program, you need to search for that person if they are available in a list. If they are available, then we enroll the person to the program. If they are not available, and we register a new person. Okay. Now let me do a very quick and then move on. First, I will try to search for some model. So it say, sorry, the client cannot be found. So I will register a new one. Okay, I click on register. First, I put the name. Okay, the sex automatically selected as female. We cannot change the sex. Just enter the age and the address. Okay, and click on save. Okay, the model is created. And on your left hand side, that's the list of the deliveries belong to that model. So currently, because this model is newly created, so we will have one delivery for the model. I will select on that, and then I will input some information for the delivery, for example, date of delivery. And in here we have one field called live births. So if live births, if I enter a number here, for example, I input 1 and I click on save. So there will automatically one tab created on the top. So we have infant 1. So this means this one is the child. So I click on the child, I input the sex, and then I save. Okay, and then the child is saved. And you can see on the bottom, on the bottom right, you have the complete this delivery and the print birth certificate. So when we complete this delivery, the child will be created and enrolled to the immunization program. So I will try it now. I will click on the complete this delivery. First, we need to generate the health ID for the child. And then the child will be enrolled to the EIR program. EIR is the immunization program, right? And then the delivery will be completed. And below that, we have the list of all the children which are created and enrolled. In this case, we have one child with that ID, with that gender and the date of birth. Okay, and I click okay, done. So the child is already created. I copy this one and save it for later, put it here. So I copy the unique ID of the child newly created. I put it here for reference. And then about the birth certificate. So this is the one of the example that iCapture can do, that we can print the birth certificate. We put the information of the child into the birth certificate. And from here, people can download these birth certificates or they can print using the printer. Okay. So, and then I will go to the immunization program and I will search for that child using the unique ID that we created before, and I search. Yes, the child is available. I will select that child and I will do the immunization. Okay, something happened. But yeah, but from here we can enter the data for the immunization for the child. So I will just introduce about the MCX, the new MCX tracker programs for lab, and everything can be done inside only one app, which is iCapture. That's we can link the programs together. So that's a very example of the how iCapture will work and why we need the iCapture. Okay, I think that's all for me. Hand over the floor to you, Surajit. Thank you, Mike.
Okay, thank you, Dung, for that presentation. I think that was great. So we have a little bit of time before lunch if there are any outstanding questions. If not, we will have our lunch. So are there any questions? I know that was kind of an overload of information and different information at that, but if there are any questions, we're happy to take them now. So any questions about anything that was presented, or everything clear? Okay, it doesn't look like there are any questions at the moment. If you're more comfortable speaking to us individually, please come and do so. Maybe I'll have Hung explain the lunch. Which? Okay, where is it? I don't even know. Third floor? Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, just go.
So no more questions?